Hey everybody, welcome to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Ty.
And I'm Allie.
And we are Downset Fly Media.
Last year we were both unfortunately laid off from our tech jobs, which just ignited our love for traveling. We've been lucky to find our passion and have traveled to over 20 countries. We hope to inspire others to get out and see the world through our videos.
In today's video, we will be showing you our latest weekend trip to Prescott and Jerome, Arizona. We will be talking through what we did, where we ate, and must-dos for any trip to Prescott and Jerome. We chose to stay at the Marriott Springhill Suites because it was walking distance to downtown Prescott and a quick drive to several of the attractions that we wanted to see. We believe the hotel was recently renovated. It was great in terms of amenities, cleanliness, and we were also pleasantly surprised about how big our room was. After we got checked in, we made our way to Red, White, and Brew for lunch. Just about a 6 to 7 minute walk from downtown Prescott. This was a great spot that was recommended to us, and we were told they had the cleanest kitchen in all of Prescott. We both had salads, and they were really well priced, super fresh, and overall was a great experience. If you do opt in for a cocktail, we'd highly recommend the pineapple jalapeno margarita. Prescott has been steadily growing its food and drink scene, and we were excited to kick off our weekend with a great lunch spot.
We then made our way to the Sharlot Hall Museum. It's right downtown and was $12 per person to enter, and it had several buildings filled with history to explore. We started our tour with a quick video where we learned about Arizona's history, the city of Prescott, its politics, and Sharlot Hall herself. Here we learned that the finding of gold is actually what led to the founding of Prescott. The museum was founded in 1928 by Sharlot Hall herself, who is Arizona's first female historian. Abraham Lincoln signed the bill that officially separated Arizona from New Mexico, and shortly after this, officials who had settled in Prescott began building the governor's mansion. This was definitely one of our favorite buildings to see here, as it was once the center of Arizona's politics and a hub for territorial government operations in Arizona's early years. There are several exhibits throughout the museum that provide a background and a little bit of history on Prescott, the city, its buildings, its people, and the early days. We spent about an hour or so here kind of going through all the different buildings, reading each of the exhibits and learning, but you could definitely spend all day here if you love history. There was so much to do and see. One of our favorite stops along the tour was at Fort Misery, which is actually the oldest log building associated with the territory of Arizona. Fort Misery actually served many purposes, including a store, a boarding house, and a law office. The grounds were also really well kept with beautiful greenery and a huge rose garden. The Fremont House is a super charming Victorian cottage that was built in 1875, and it became known as the Governor's Mansion from 1878 to 1881, when Governor John Charles Fremont and his family rented it for $90 per month. Today you can still see several pieces of original furniture and original art in the house, including this piece of art that was actually made out of human hair. And the last part of our tour was the transportation building, which was constructed in 1937 and served as an automotive repair shop. Today, this building showcases several forms of different transportation, including one of the stagecoaches that was used in Tombstone, Arizona, a Ford Model T Ranch pickup truck, and Sharlot Hall's personal Durant Star touring car. If you're a history buff or just interested in Arizona's history in general, the Sharlot Hall Museum was a great experience and a definite must-do in Prescott. We continued our journey with a new speakeasy in the basement of the historic St. Michael Hotel called Fire and Sword. They specialize in Prohibition-era cocktails, and they really lean into the 1920s theme with their decor inside. We tried a few of their cocktails and found that they were both tasty and surprisingly strong, and we felt like their drinks were really affordable compared to other speakeasies that we'd been to.
As we continued to explore downtown Prescott, we made our way to Whiskey River Tavern, which was another great spot for drinks. This place was huge. They had 2 rooms downstairs, a huge upstairs with a balcony, and a large outdoor space where it looked like they were setting up for live music. It was right along the historic Whiskey Row, which is known for its rich Wild West heritage, with tons of unique bars, saloons, live music, art galleries, and various shops.
For dinner on our first night, we had our sights set on a highly recommended spot to us, Colt Grill. And if you're a barbecue lover, this place is a must visit. When we arrived, it was super busy and lively, and the setup is pretty casual, so you order at the front and then you find your own seating. But they also have a small section of bar tables that were actually traditional service, and we were lucky enough to snag one just before we had ordered. The sides were separate from the main entrees, and we each ordered an entree and a side and found that the portions are massive. This was way too much food for us, but it was really, really good. It's also important for me to note, as someone with food allergies, the staff in the kitchen were so good about it and so caring.
One of the places we were super excited to stop at was Superstition Meadery. After our experience trying mead in Flagstaff, we knew we had to stop in. We learned that mead is actually the oldest fermented beverage in the world. For $28 here, you get 12 varied tastings of mead and 2 of their ciders as well. Superstition Meadery has won numerous awards for both their ciders and meads from several competitions around the world. Their tasting room is in a super cozy setting in the basement of Burmeister in downtown Prescott.
And we ended our first night with a drink and some dancing at Jersey Lily Saloon. We didn't stay for long as we had an early morning plan for the next day and knew we'd be back to Jersey Lily's for Halloween night festivities.
We started our Saturday morning getting some exercise at the Peavine Trail before we made our way to Jerome. The trail is near Watson Lake, and I would classify it as an easy scenic walk or bike ride, although there are more challenging hikes that branch off around the lake itself. The cost to park here was $3 a day and can be paid at a self-serve kiosk at the trailhead.
From the Peavine Trail, we drove about 45 minutes to spend the day in Jerome. We knew we wanted to include a day in Jerome during this northern Arizona weekend, as we had heard incredible things about the town, and it's known to be really haunted, making it the perfect Halloween weekend activity. The town today resides above what was once the largest copper mine in Arizona, producing 3 million pounds of copper per month. Jerome is known as the wickedest town in the West because of the number of accidents and fatalities in the mines, and it definitely leads to this overall eerie and spooky feeling around town. And it's also rumored that the sidewalks were formed with concrete mixed with human remains from mining accidents hundreds of years ago.
We just got to Jerome, and our first stop here is at the Gold King Mine Ghost Town. We're excited to get in there and check it out. The Gold King Mine Ghost Town was just a minute or two from downtown Jerome, and it was an absolutely fantastic visit and something we would definitely recommend adding to your trip to Jerome. The self-guided tour here was $12 per person for adults, but for an additional $30, you could feed the animals, explore one of the replica mine shafts, and pan for gemstones and real gold. This ghost town was once a camp for miners, which became known as Hays, Arizona, and even had its own post office at one point in time. One thing that we thought was really interesting was that they were actually searching for copper in the mines when they discovered gold. Of course, this led the area to become incredibly popular. Around 91 years after the gold ran out and the mine was closed, this area was rediscovered and filled with over 180 vintage cars, mining equipment, a stamp mill, a working sawmill, a blacksmith shop, and more. The guide that was showing us around actually told us that all of that equipment still works today. During the tour of the mine, our guide was teaching us all of the steps and techniques to panning for our own gold, which you got to take home, and it was actually a pretty fun experience. One of the most iconic parts of this ghost town is Big Bertha, which is a massive steam shovel that was used in evacuation material when building the mines. For an added fee, you can actually hear Big Bertha in operation, and someone on our tour opted to pay this fee, and apparently Big Bertha didn't work during the time we were there, but what we heard was still shockingly loud.
We are at the Jerome Grand Hotel here, getting ready to head inside. There's a restaurant called the Asylum, so we're going to check it out.
This hotel is actually supposed to be one of the most haunted buildings in Jerome because back in the early 1900s, it was the area's only hospital for the miners. After it was abandoned in 1950, it was then renovated and reopened in 1996 as a hotel. We stopped in here for a drink, and while we didn't notice anything too spooky, we were told various stories about its eerie history that made our time here really interesting. We made our way into Wicked City Saloon for a quick drink, which was such a good find. It was really low key, but it had great staff, great drinks, and we really enjoyed ourselves here.
During our research for our trip to Jerome, one of the most recommended places to eat was Haunted Hamburger. After stopping here for lunch, we can 100% agree that this is totally worth the stop. The food was delicious, the drinks were great, and it had incredible views. We sat upstairs, so we got this amazing view while we were eating lunch.
We unfortunately didn't have enough time during our day trip here to take the ghost tour, but it definitely is something we want to do when we come back. It was $45 per person and about an hour walking through the town, and it was open to all ages. We spent some time walking around the downtown where there was different bars, restaurants, shops, and great live music.
One of our favorite stores that we stopped in was the Nellie Bly Kaleidoscope store. This place was truly unique and is said to be the largest kaleidoscope store in the entire world. Just look how cool these things are. The employees there were even walking around and showing people how to get these cool videos of the kaleidoscopes. One of our other favorite stores was Copper Canyon Christmas, a family-owned year-round Christmas store located in Jerome. I mean, just look at how many Christmas decorations there are.
We were super excited to visit the Bartlett Hotel, which was once a luxurious hotel in the early 1900s that had electricity and became a central hub for visitors and miners, but was significantly damaged during the fires in Jerome and was completely abandoned during the 1930s mining decline. And of course, we had to see the historic sliding jail, an icon in Jerome. This was built in the 1920s and once served as the town's main jail, but due to unstable ground from mining activities, the building actually slid about 200 feet down the hill from its original location over the years. It's definitely an eerie sight to see.
Our last stop of the day was at the Jerome State Historic Park to get a little bit more history on the town. The views from this park would make it worth it by itself. From the parking lot, you got an amazing view overlooking the Verde Valley and the spectacular Red Rock Cliffs. On the opposite side, you got an amazing view of downtown. Tickets were $7 per person for entrance, and we did a quick self-guided tour of the inside of Douglas Mansion, once housing mining officials and investors. There was also a 30-minute video that you could watch to learn more about Jerome and the park. From here, we made our way to the outdoor portion of the park, which included those incredible views of the town, as you can see to the left here. The outdoor portion was really cool. You got to walk around, check out the different types of mining equipment that they used, and even view one of the mine shafts on the property. Just outside of the state park is the Audrey Headframe Park, which is free to visit. You can stop here and look down the 1,900-foot deep shaft of the Little Daisy mine. To put the depth of that mine into perspective, that is taller than the Eiffel Tower, Chrysler Building, Great Pyramid, and the Empire State Building.
We had such a great day in Jerome, but it was time to head back to Prescott where the Halloween festivities were taking place. We started our evening with a drink at the Glass Bar, which is located inside the historic Hassayampa Inn. We were so excited to finally see inside the historic Hassayampa Inn. We headed towards Whiskey Row where we found the super lively Matt Saloon. It was packed and most people were in costume. Everyone was having a blast on the dance floor and it was super fun to watch.
After Matt Saloon, we headed over to another highly recommended restaurant, La Planchada. This had a really cool small vibe to it, and the food and drinks were delicious. They were having a pretty fun costume party that night with a live DJ, so it did end up getting pretty lively. I ended up getting the AZ citrus chicken taco and the pineapple pork taco, both of which were unbelievable. And for drinks, we had to try the cauldron cider and the prickly pear margarita. After La Planchada, we had to head back to Jersey Lily's. This was probably our second favorite bar behind Matt's Saloon, and it was absolutely packed on this Saturday night with everybody in costume. Fun fact, if you stay at the Marriott Springhill Suites, they'll give you 2-for-1 drink coupons to use here. This is an absolutely incredible place to check out while you're in Prescott.
Next door, we popped into the Palace Saloon, which is the oldest saloon in Prescott and also the oldest operating bar in the state of Arizona. As you can see, it was a bit underwhelming when we arrived as it was nearly empty. Birdcage Saloon was our last stop of the evening, and it was a blast. It was busy with costume dancers and had a great live band playing various rock and oldies songs. We ended our evening here pretty early as we were exhausted from the day of exploring Jerome and our evening on Whiskey Row, but it was such a good experience.
We were able to get late checkout, so we decided to go check out a few more spots in downtown Prescott. Our first stop of the morning was at the Raven Cafe, which was super busy as they had a line out the door, but they had a great rooftop and live music in there for the brunch crowd. We felt that Prescott had something for everybody. It had outdoor activities, a ton of history, and an exciting nightlife with live music.
We continued our walk downtown and found ourselves at the Wild Iris Cafe. This was one of our favorite stops in Prescott for sure. They had a great selection of bakery items, different breakfast items, and the best part for sure was their coffee. I got a s'mores latte and it was one of the best coffees I've ever had with torched marshmallow on top, and this was just the perfect kickstart to our day. We walked up to Mount Vernon Street, where we spent an hour or so walking up and down the street admiring the historic Victorian homes. The residents go all out with decorations for Halloween, and it sounds like they do the same for Christmas, which draws visitors from all over the state, obviously us included. It was really fun to spend the morning looking at different Halloween decorations and themes throughout the neighborhood, and I can only imagine how fun it would be to trick or treat there as a kid.
After walking around South Mount Vernon Street, we had to make a stop into Barley Hound. Although we didn't try their food, it looked absolutely incredible, and this place has some amazing reviews as well. Overall, we had an incredible weekend getaway to Prescott. There was so much to do here between the great nightlife, the history, and all of the outdoor activities.
Definitely make sure to add Prescott and Jerome to your Northern Arizona bucket list. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel as we will be sharing more travel content here soon. And also make sure to head over to Instagram and TikTok and follow us at Downset Fly Media for more. Thank you so much for your support and thanks again for watching.